By this point, Hercules has fought lions, bulls, birds, and cows. So what's next? Hercules gets sent to pick fruit. Golden apples guarded by a dragon. Fruit! Golden apples guarded by a dragon, hidden in a garden nobody can find without directions. So basically, the world's deadliest scavenger hunt. Perfect. Let's sink softly into Labor 11, the apples of the Hesperides, one of the more dreamlike and winding adventures in Hercules' list of ridiculous errands. This one feels less like go club a monster and more like wander across the ends of the earth. Ask a lot of strangers for directions and maybe barter with a titan. So, let's drift right in. By this point, Hercules had traveled across deserts, through swamps, into kingdoms that didn't want him, and to the very edges of the sea. You'd think Eurystheus was running out of bizarre tasks to throw at him, but no. This time, he wanted something even shinier than divine cattle. He wanted golden apples. Now, these weren't just any golden apples. They were the apples of the Hesperides, a set of magical fruits that grew in a secret garden, guarded by nymphs and, oh yes, a massive dragon. The apples had been a wedding gift to Hera from Gaia, which explains why Eurystheus thought it would be a great idea to send Hercules after them, because when you're trying to ruin someone's life, why not send him to steal from the personal garden of his biggest divine enemy? Smooth move. The Hesperides themselves were mysterious figures, usually imagined as three sisters living at the farthest western edge of the world, in a lush paradise where time sort of stood still. It was their job to tend the tree, while Ladon, the many-headed dragon, coiled around it as a living security system. Picture a mythological Home Depot guard dog, but with extra heads and a worse temper. The real trick wasn't the dragon, though. It was finding the place. The location of the garden was deliberately vague. Every source gives it a different geography. Spain, North Africa, the Atlantic Islands, basically anywhere that felt impossibly distant to the Greeks. So Hercules had to go on what was essentially the longest scavenger hunt in ancient history. He wandered through countless lands, each with their own little myths glued onto his journey. At one point, he encountered Prometheus. Yes, that Prometheus, the titan chained to a rock for giving fire to humans. Every day, an eagle swooped down and ate his liver, and every night it grew back. Hercules, being Hercules, decided to do something about it. He shot the eagle, freed Prometheus, and gave him a little relief after endless centuries of torture. Prometheus, in return, offered advice about how to get the apples. This is a moment where Hercules accidentally stumbled into cosmic politics, freeing one of Zeus' least favorite prisoners. But surprisingly, Zeus didn't smite him for it. Maybe even Zeus was impressed at the nerve. Prometheus told him the trick. Don't try to grab the apples yourself. Instead, ask Atlas, the titan condemned to hold up the sky on his shoulders. After all, Atlas was the father of the Hesperides, and he knew the garden well. Clever advice, though. It came with the small detail that Hercules would have to take over, holding up the heavens, while Atlas went to fetch the apples. Which, as chores go, is not exactly watch the soup while I'm out. So Hercules went to Atlas. Now imagine this. A weary titan standing there, muscles straining, arms literally keeping the firmament from crashing down, day after day, century after century. Atlas probably wasn't used to visitors, so Hercules showing up must have been the highlight of his millennium. Hercules explained the deal. He'd hold up the heavens for a while if Atlas would go grab the apples. Atlas thought this sounded great. After all, holding up the sky had gotten a little monotonous after several thousand years. So Hercules braced himself, shifted the weight, and took the burden. Suddenly, he was literally carrying the heavens on his shoulders. No poetic exaggeration. He was doing Atlas's job. It's one of those moments where myth almost turns symbolic. The strongest man alive, buckling under the weight of the universe itself. Atlas, delighted to be free, strolled off and grabbed the apples with ease. But when he returned, he had a new idea. He wasn't sure he wanted to take the sky back. In fact, he told Hercules that he would personally deliver the apples to Eurystheus, while Hercules could just stay there forever with the stars pressing down on him. A nice little betrayal, but Hercules, as usual, was not an idiot. He smiled, nodded, and pretended to agree. "Of course, Atlas, no problem at all," he said. "But before you go, would you mind just holding the sky for one quick moment, so I can adjust my cloak and cushion my shoulders a bit? You know, get more comfortable for eternity." Atlas, not being the brightest Titan, agreed. He took the weight back for a moment, and the instant he did, Hercules grabbed the apples and walked away. A neat little reversal. Now, some versions say Hercules actually killed the dragon Ladon himself to take the apples. Others stick with the Atlas trick. Myth is inconsistent that way, but the Atlas version is the one that lingers, because it gives Hercules this rare moment of brains over brawn, tricking a Titan instead of just smashing through everything with a club. Eventually, Hercules brought the apples back to Eurystheus. And what did Eurystheus do? He panicked. He wanted nothing to do with them. After all, these weren't just shiny fruit. They were sacred property of Hera, guarded by divine forces. Eurystheus quickly handed them back to Hercules, and Hercules in turn gave them to Athena. Athena, being the responsible one, returned them to the garden of the Hesperides, where they belonged. So after all that effort, the apples ended up right back where they started, which really sums up a lot of Hercules' labors. The point wasn't the prize. The point was the suffering, the wandering, the endless errands designed to humiliate him. The golden apples, like the cattle, the birds, the stables, they were symbols. They proved that Hercules could go anywhere, endure anything, even carry the sky itself for a while, and still come back standing. There's a dreamy quality to this labor, different from the others. It's not about blood and guts. It's about distance, endurance, cosmic burdens, and clever tricks. You can almost feel the Greeks imagining the edges of the map, where dragons guard fruit, where titans groan under the heavens, where the sun god sails in a golden cup. It's the labor where Hercules comes closest to brushing shoulders with eternity. And of course, he did it all while Eurystheus waited at home, sulking in his palace, probably hoping Hercules would just get lost forever.